Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to Of Dice and Third Baseman and the 1919 National League Game of the Week. Today's date is the 25th of May, 1919. It's a glorious Sunday afternoon in Manhattan, where the New York Giants will host the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals come into town with a record of 9-14, and they find themselves in 7th place in the National League. 5.5 games out of the top spot. The Giants, on the other hand, with a record of 13-8, find themselves in a 4-team scramble for the top spot in the league, with Brooklyn, Cincinnati, the Giants, and Pittsburgh all within 1 game of each other at the top of the league. Here are the starting lineups for today's game. The visiting Cardinals will send up Bert Schotten in the leadoff spot, and he'll play left field. Jack Smith is in right, Milt Stock at third, Rogers Hornsby in the cleanup spot, getting a start at shortstop today. Batting fifth will be the first baseman, Gene Paulette. Gene will be the subject of today's 7th inning stretch Deadball portrait feature, as Gene has been in the news this week as one of the players impacted by the decision of the Commissioner of Major League Baseball to reinstate those players who had been on the ineligible list for Major League Baseball. Batting sixth is center field Cliff Heathcote. Dots Miller will play second and bat seventh. Vern Clemens is behind the plate. And on the mound for the Cardinals is the 28-year-old right-hander Marv Goodwin. The Giants will counter with George Burns in left field, Ross Youngs in right, Hal Chase at first, Al Baird batting cleanup and playing second as Larry Doyle gets a day off today. Benny Kauf is in center field, Heine Zimmerman at third base, Art Fletcher is the shortstop, Mike Gonzalez is behind the plate, and pitching for McGraw and the Giants today is the 25-year-old right-hander Red Cousy. Looks like the pregame festivities are just about done here at Brush Stadium, so let's head down to the field in today's first pitch. Bert Schotten will stand in for the Cardinals, and Cousy will deliver. 265 against a lefty, and that's hit well to right field. That's 14. Schotten, and he has no power. And that's hit deep to left field, but it'll stay in the ballpark. Where it'll be caught by George Burns with his back pressed up against the outfield fence. Smith stands in, 295. He also is going to hit that one hard, this time to right field. That's an 11 with no power. And that's going to hang up and give Ross Youngs time to come in and make the catch. Two away from New York, despite hard contact from both the hitters thus far. And Milt Stock will step in. 449 against a right-handed pitcher. And that'll be bounced back to the box. It's fielded by Cousy, and he throws to first. And the Cardinals are retired in the top of the first. And that'll bring up the Giants and George Burns. 369. And Burns will bounce that one on the ground to shortstop. Hornsby has it. And over to first for the out. Yeah, it's Ross Youngs. 256 against a lefty. That's a 546. That's hit down to Miller at second. He is a range 4, so he will not get it. And it's through the hole at second base and into right field for a base hit. first hit of the game goes to Ross Youngs. And Hal Chase will stand in. Chase off to a good start, batting .311 for the season thus far. .331. But he gets under that one and skies it to left field. Shotton doesn't have to move a step, puts it away for the third out to retire the side. The second out. So Young's still at first. And Al Baird will stand in. 3-0-3 swing and a miss. Strike three, and that will retire the side. The Giants get a hit, but they leave a man. We go to the second inning, and Rogers Hornsby will stand in. Started the season slow. He's been warming up lately. He's got his average up to 270. He's knocked in 17 runs, though, in only 24 games. 373, and that's popped to first base. It drifts into foul ground, and Chase will put it away for the first out. Paulette, 676. That's a bloop single. Gene pokes it into shallow right field for the base hit. And the Cardinals have a man aboard with one out. Now bring in Cliff Heathcote, the center fielder. 640. That's a bouncer to second. Baird will flip to Fletcher, covering it from shortstop for one out, and that's all they'll get. So Paulette is forced at second, and Heathcote will take his place at first. And there's two away for Dots Miller. 375. That's hit hard on the ground to shortstop. Fletcher will flip to second to take the short route for the out that retires the side, and nothing doing for the Cardinals in the second. Benny Koff will lead off for the Giants. Koff at 282 in the early going. 598. That's hit out to Smith in right field. And that'll fall in front of him for a base hit. So leadoff single. Koff. And Heine Zimmerman will step in. 521. And that's beautifully framed by Clemens for a called third strike. One away, and Fletcher at the plate. 278, and he hits that well to left field. 6 is 15, and his power is 1. That's a 16. And that ball is going to get over the fence and out of the ballpark for a 2-run home run for Art Fletcher. That's his third homer of the year already. And it gives the Giants a 2-0 lead here in the second inning. Pitch to Gonzalez. 591. That's hit out to right field. And that'll be a routine play for Jack Smith. There's 2 away. And Kazi will come to the plate. 666 at home. That's a 676. And that'll be a bloop base hit from the Giants pitcher. And I'll bring Burns back up at the top of the order. 652 at home is a 662. And that's a comebacker. Goodwin has it, and he'll flip underhand to first for the out. And the Giants are retired, but not before they get 2 runs on Art Fletcher's home run and take a 2-0 lead into the third. .665. That's also a comebacker, this time from Vern Clemens. And this time it'll be Red Kazi making the play. And Goodwin at the plate. .478, he's an I-5. And that is skied to right field. Young takes a step back into his left, and he makes the grab. And there are 2 outs in the top of the order. Bert Shotton for St. Louis. .383, and that's popped up on the infield. Art Fletcher moves towards second base, puts it away. And the Cardinals go down in order in the third. That'll bring up Ross Youngs for the Giants. He singled in his only time up today. That's .564. That's hit out to Hornsby at shortstop. He's at range 5, so he'll make the play. 1 down, and Hal Chase comes to the plate. .414. Hal hits that one on the ground towards Dots Miller at second. Dots picks it out of the dirt and throws it over to first, and there's 2 away. Al Baird will stand in. He struck out his first time up. .398. And Al hits a fly ball into left field. Shotton is there, and he will make the catch. And nothing doing for the Giants in the third. So we're through 3. 2-0 for the homestanding Giants. And Jack Smith will lead it off for the Cardinals in the fourth. .609. That is popped up on the infield. And Al Baird will put it away for the first out. That brings up Milt Stock. He's at .269 on the season. He grounded back to the mound his first time up. .487. And Stock laces one into right field for a base hit. Bring up Hornsby, who popped up to the first baseman his first time. .118. And Rogers will hit this one in the air, but it's a routine fly ball to center field. Koff is there, makes the catch. There's 2 away. And Paulette at the plate. .474 against a righty, and he'll bounce that one back to the pitcher. Kazi flips it to first for the out, retires the side, so the Cardinals get a man on but don't do anything with him. And Benny Koff will lead it off for the Giants in the bottom of the inning. .451 against a righty, and Benny singles up the middle and into center field. And the Giants have the leadoff man on. Heine Zimmerman at the plate. .681 at home. That's a .691. And that's a single. Hit hard in the gap. And Koff will go all the way around to third. And the Giants have men at the corners and nobody out here in the bottom of the fourth. Nobody out, the Giants will play the infield back. And here's the pitch to Fletcher. .659 at home, that's a .669. And that's a bouncer to shortstop, and Hornsby can't field it cleanly. It's an error. Everybody's safe. And a run scores. So Koff comes home from third. Zimmerman moves up to second, and Fletcher is safe first on the error. And Goodwin is in all sorts of hot water here. Still nobody out. Pitcher spot coming up, not much of a hitter. Now, Gonzalez is going to bunt anyways. He's probably a worse hitter than the pitcher is. So we've got 2, 6, 12, and Gonzalez is a bunt 4. That's a 16. That's bunted to the first baseman for a possible fielder's choice. Paulette's an arm 1. The runners are both 3s. So I'm not going to try for the force. That'll be a sacrifice hit to the first baseman. And now the Giants have runners at second and third, 1 away, and the pitcher at the plate. Kazi's 2 for 11 thus far in the season. We are going to bring the infield in with the pitcher up. Zimmerman will go on contact. Here's the pitch, 329 against a contact 1 swing and a miss. Big strikeout by Goodwin. And there's 2 away with 2 men still in scoring position for the Giants, and Burns at the plate. 104, and Goodwin gets him to tap it right back to the mound. He will underhand it over to first for the out that retires the side, and the Giants leave 2 men in scoring position. They do score 1 on the Hornsby error, and we go to the 5th with the score 3-0 in favor of the Giants. Cliff Heathcote will lead it off for St. Louis in the 5th. 269. He hits that well to right field. That's 14, and he's a power 0, so 14 to right. And that's onto the warning track, but no cigar, as the Youngs will make the catch. Just a foot or 2 in front of the fence. And it's an out, but a loud one. And Dots Miller will step in. He bounced into a fielder's choice his first time up. 240 against a right-handed batter. That's a 570. And that'll be a routine fly out to Burns in left. And Vern Clemens will come up to bat. He tapped back to the mound his first time. 104, and that's lined up the middle, but speared by Kazi. The pitcher takes care of it for the final out of the inning. And St. Louis still yet to score through their 5 at-bats, and the Giants will come up in the bottom of the 5th, leading 3-0. And Ross Youngs will lead it off. And Kazi will be subject to fatigue in the 6th. Pitch to Youngs is a 366, and that's popped in the air down the left field line. Stock will take a few steps into the outfield behind the bag and make the catch in fair ground for the first out. And Hal Chase will stand in. 269 against a righty. That's hit hard to center field. It's a 15, and Chase's power is a 3. That's 18 to center. And that'll be caught by Heathcote. A nice running catch in the gap in deep right center field. And there's 2 away for the Giants. And Baird will come to the plate. Giants lead 3-0, but they could have more. They've really been a lot of loud contact against Goodwin that has resulted in outs. 300 and a swing and a miss by Baird. 4th K of the afternoon for Goodwin. And the Giants go down without scoring in the 5th. Goodwin will lead it off in the 6th. St. Louis tries to get something going here. 590. That's going to be a routine fly ball to right field. Youngs will make the catch. And Shotton stands in. He's flied to left and popped to short. 3-10 swing and a miss. That's Kazi's first strikeout of the day. And Jack Smith will stand in. 2 outs and nobody on. 2-0-1, that's a 4-0-1, and that's ball 4. So the Cardinals right fielder takes a walk, gets on base. 2 men gone here on the top of the 6th. Yeah, Smith is a speed 4, and the catcher Gonzalez has an arm 4, so the auto manager says he will try to get a jump here. He's a steal 7 against a hold 5, so we need an 8 or better to get the jump, and he cannot. Kazi holds him close at first, and the pitch to Stock. 6:24, and 10 for fatigue is 6:34. That'll be a bouncer to first, and Chase will take it himself and trot over and stomp on the bag for the final out. So nothing for St. Louis in the 6th. And center field Benny Koff will lead it off for the Giants in the bottom of half of the inning. Koff has singled twice and scored both times. 587. That's hit in the air towards Heathcote in center field. And he cannot reach it, and it's beyond his glove. Bounces off the wall, and Koff will steam into second with a double. That's his 10th of the season, which I believe leads the league. And the Giants have a man in scoring position with nobody out. I'll bring up Zimmerman, who is struck out looking and singled. It's 237 against a righty, and that's a base hit. Zimmerman singles over the glove of Hornsby at short and into left field, and Koff will round third and score the Giants' 4th run. So an RBI base hit for Zimmerman, and it's 4-0 in favor of the Giants. That'll bring up Fletcher. 460 against a righty, and that's another base hit. Zimmerman will hold at second. 9th hit of the game for New York. And Gonzalez will step in. He flied to right and sacrificed. 304, and that's a swing and a miss. And now Rick Kazi, chance to do himself some good here. We're 2 men on, 1 out. And he will bunt. That's a 12-13. And his bunt 3 makes a 16. And that's bunted to the first baseman. Same thing as before. Paulette has an arm of 1. The runners are both 3, so I'll take the guaranteed out. It's a sacrifice to the first baseman. Runners advance to second and third, and that'll give George Burns a chance at the top of the order. 235 against a righty, and Burns will come through. So the platoon splits kill Goodwin in this inning. Burns singles into right field. Zimmerman will score. Fletcher will score. And it's 6-0 in favor of the Giants. And Goodwin is now given up 5 runs and is subject to fatigue. I'll bring up Ross Youngs. That's 574. That's out to Shotton in left field. And he will make the catch. That retires the side, but the Giants get a big 3 runs in the bottom of the 6th to double their lead to 6-0. As we head to the top of the 7th, and Rogers Hornsby at the plate. 674 and 10 for fatigue is 684, and Hornsby laces a base hit. So Rogers gets his first hit of the day. And that'll bring up Paulette. 375, and Gene hits that one pretty well, but right at Zimmerman at third. He will flip to second for 1, Baird on to first for the double play, 5-4-3. And just like that, the sacks are emptied, and Heathcote will stand in with nobody on and 2 outs. 285, and Cliff gets good wood on that. Out to right field. That's an 11, and he's power 0. And that'll be a fly ball into right field. Ross Youngs will get there. And he'll make the catch. And that'll retire the side in the top of the 7th. With the Cardinals still trailing the Giants big, 6-0. And we'll be right back after this. On this afternoon's Deadball Portraits feature, we're going to meet St. Louis Cardinals first baseman Gene Paulette. Eugene Edward Paulette was the 11th of 12 children born to French Canadians who emigrated to the United States in the 1880s. He was born in 1891 when the family had settled in Illinois. Work on the railroads eventually brought the family to Little Rock, Arkansas. While attending college in 1911, unusually at the time for a child in a family this large, he was spotted playing sandlot ball by a scout for John McGraw and was not only signed by the Giants, but sent immediately to the big league club at age 20 with absolutely no minor league or semi-professional experience. He saw limited action in the 1911 season and none in the World Series, but he was awarded a quarter winner's share regardless, and he took Fred Merkel's spot on the Giants' exhibition tour of Cuba that winter. He came to spring training with New York in 1912, but was farmed out to Providence of the AA International League, who sent him to Mobile of the Class A Southern Association for seasoning. He spent 2 seasons playing in Alabama, and while he didn't impress with the bat, he did show that he could field a number of positions well. His contract was sold to the Cleveland Naps in 1914, and they eventually placed him at their Class A affiliate in Nashville. There he began to impress as a defensive first baseman, and the following season the bat started to show signs of life. This continued in 1916 until his contract was acquired by the St. Louis Browns late in the season, and he appeared in 5 games for the Browns before the campaign ended. In 1917, he found his path with the Browns blocked by a decent player by the name of George Sisler, and he only got into 12 games before the Browns waived him in June, and he was quickly picked up by the crosstown Cardinals. Finally given the chance to play every day, he became a capable regular, batting .265 with 34 runs batted in 95 games in 1917, and then .273 with 52 runs batted in 125 games in 1918. While Gene was establishing himself as a big league ball player, unfortunately he was also establishing himself in the company of some of St. Louis's less savory characters. He began to keep company with 2 notable gamblers in town, one of whom had been linked to an alleged plot to fix the 1918 World Series. Early in 1919, apparently in need of money, Paulette met with the gamblers to discuss the possibility of game fixing for mutual profit. He was in the middle of these conversations and had apparently offered to bring other Cardinals in on the scheme when he was traded to the Phillies. His new club was aware of his less than classy connections in St. Louis, and in fact they had a copy of a letter from Paulette discussing game-fixing arrangements, but they still took Paulette at his word, via a sworn affidavit, that he had actually perpetrated no mischief. Paulette performed well for Philadelphia, playing multiple positions, hitting a career-best .288 in 1920 while posting personal marks in walks and runs scored, and hitting a home run off of Pete Alexander. but Gene's past dalliances were about to come back to bite him, and hard. In September 1920, a grand jury was convened in Chicago to investigate an alleged episode of game fixing between the Phillies and the Cubs. Within days of that jury convening, however, a bigger target was brought to their attention: the possibility that the World Series of the previous season had been thrown by the White Sox. The proceedings of that grand jury investigation are well known. Please avoid fictionalized sources like 8 Men Out and look at the various Sabre publications on the Black Sox to understand the real story. I'll put links in the video details. And one result of those events was the appointment of Judge Kennesaw Mountain Landis to a new position as Commissioner of Baseball, and Landis came in with both the mandate and a vengeance to purge the game of the influence of gambling. Shortly after he had assumed office, Landis was given a copy of the letter from Paulette to the gamblers, and the first baseman was summoned to the commissioner's office, where he struggled to explain away the contents of the document. As the ensuing back and forth with the commissioner developed, the Black Sox scandals blew up as a planned jury trial fell apart, and Charles Comiskey chose to unconditionally release all the implicated Black Sox rather than wait for the results of another grand jury. In the middle of all this, Paulette failed to appear for a meeting with Landis in early 1921, and the commissioner was in no mood for compassion. On the 24th of March, Paulette became the first player to be permanently banned from the game by the new commissioner. Gene's denials of actual wrongdoing on the field had no sway with Landis. The fact remains, he ruled, that Paulette, quote, had offered to betray his team and that he put himself in the vicious power of the gamblers, end quote. Within days of his expulsion from the big leagues, Paulette was controversially signed by an industrial league team in Ohio. The ensuing uproar resulted in the refusal of the rest of the teams in that league to take the field with him as long as he was on the ineligible list, and Gene was quickly released. His playing career was now over at just 30 years of age. He worked in the rail yards in Little Rock and passed away there from a heart attack at the age of 74. While the eventual end of the Black Sox saga became nationwide front-page news in August of 1921, when the players were exonerated by a jury and then expelled from organized ball the following day, Gene Paulette remained a footnote to history as the first man to feel the iron fist of Judge Landis as baseball tried to eradicate gambling's influence on the game. With the ruling of Commissioner Manfred earlier this week, he is no longer banned from the game, but his price has long been paid. Okay, bottom of the 7th inning. We've got Hal Chase to lead it off against Goodwin. It's a 508. That's a rare play. 462. That's a single to right field. Smith is a fielding 6 in right. So the 6 is not higher than that, so it's a single to right. No error. And Chase is on first base with nobody out. And Al Baird will stand in. He is 0 for 3. He struck out twice. 549. That'll be hit down to Miller at second. He's fielding 6, so that'll be an error. E4. Giants with 2 men on and nobody out. And their slugger Benny Koff at the plate, who's done nothing today but have 2 singles and a double. 377. This time he gets under it a little bit and he hits it in the air to left field. Bert Schotten will make the catch. That's the first out. That'll bring up Zimmerman. It was 2 for 3. 686 and 10 for fatigue. And let me check. Goodwin's fatigue here. Yep, he's a 1. So 686, 10 for fatigue and 10 for home. That's 706. And that'll be hit deep to center field. Zimmerman is a power 1. And 10 is 11 to center. And that's rocketed to the wall for a double that'll clear the bases and give the Giants an 8-0 lead. And I think that's going to be all for Marv Goodwin this afternoon. St. Louis will go to the bench. In search of relief help. And coming in to pitch will be Jakey May. And he'll face Art Fletcher with a man at second and 1 away. 487 against the lefty, and May drills Fletcher in the ribs. First and second, and Gonzalez at the plate. He's 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a sacrifice. 216 is a 416, and Gonzalez draws a walk. That'll load the bases for Kazi. He is 1 for 2 with a sacrifice today. Infielder's back, hoping for the double play. 602 at home is a 612. And that's popped up on the infield. Circling under it is Miller. He will make the catch. There's 2 away. And that'll give Burns a chance. The runners at second and third. George is 1 for 4 today. He's knocked in a couple. 525. And that's popped up behind the plate. Vern Clemens races back towards the stands and makes a nice catch. Just shy of the woodwork. And the Giants are retired in the 7th, but they score 2 more. And it's 8-0. And the crowd here at Brush Stadium is quite happy with the proceedings thus far. And Miller will lead it off for St. Louis in the 8th. That's a 611, and 20 for fatigue is a 631. That's a bouncer to first. Scooping it up is Jason. He'll take it himself, and there's 1 away. Now Vern Clemens stands in, 282. He hits that solidly to left. That's a 14, and power 3 is a 17. To left field, and that ball is gone. So there goes the shutout. Clemens hits a home run to left. You can see Brush Stadium at the time was an extreme home run ballpark. Home runs plus more than 80% for both lefties and righties. We've had a couple today. That one by Clemens gets St. Louis on the board, but they still trail by a score of 8-1. And Jakey May will stand in to bat for the first time. 484, he's an I2. And he skies that one to right. One will be taken easily by Ross Young, so there's 2 away. And the Cardinals roll it over to Bert Schotten in the leadoff spot. Pitch by Kazi, 292 again. solid contact. Shotton hits that out to right field. He's a 6 with a power 0, so that's a 6 to right, and that's a base hit for Bert Shotton. His first hit of the afternoon. And Jack Smith will get a chance with a runner on base. 660 plus 30 for fatigue is 690. That's going to be another base hit. And that'll get Shotton all the way around to third. So Kazi looks like he's wearing out a bit here in the 8th. McGraw will stick with him for now. And that'll give Miltstock a chance with runners at the corners. 4-32 against a righty. And Stock gets a little dribbler in front of the plate. Gonzalez is out to pounce on it. And he flings it down to first base for the out that retires the side. And Kazi escapes the jam. Gives up just the solo shot to Vern Clemens. We go to the bottom of the 8th in an 8-1 game. Nail face Ross Youngs. 394, and Youngs skies that one to left. Shotton will put it away, and there's one down. Al Chase is 1 for 4 this afternoon. 583. That's hit out to Heathcote in center field, and he will put it away. And Al Baird stands in. He is 0 for 4, struck out twice. 257 against a righty. And Baird will join the hit parade as he lines that one to right field. The Giants' 13th hit of the afternoon. And Benny Koff will come to the plate. He is 3 for 4. A double and 3 runs scored. 391. Benny hits that one pretty hard, but it's right at the second baseman on one hop. He scoops it up and steps on the bag at second for the force. And the Giants are retired in the 8th. We go to the top of the 9th. St. Louis down 8-1, and they'll lead it off with Rogers Hornsby. McGraw's going to leave Red Kazi in to see if he can finish it off here, but he's probably on a short leash. Pitch to Hornsby, 151, and that's a walk. That's not what McGraw wanted to see. And Gene Paulette will come to the plate. 250 against a righty. And that's skied to right. That'll be routine for Ross Youngs. He's under it. He pounds the glove and he puts it away. And there's one away. Cliff Heathcote. .271. It's a lefty, and that's hit hard out to right field. That's a 4, and he is power 0, so it's 4 to right, and that's a bloop single. And the Cardinals have 2 men on with 1 away. And I think McGraw has seen enough. You know what? 7-run lead. This is 1919. We're going to leave him in. He's 1 pitch away from ending the game. Pitch to Miller. 4-13. And that's a liner to third. And it's snared by Zimmerman for the second out. And that'll bring up Clemens, who homered in his last at bat. Kazi running on fumes here. Just trying to get the out. That'll end the game. 605, and 60 for fatigue is 665. And that'll do it. Clemens taps it back to the mound. Causey will field it. He will throw to first to retire Clemens and retire the Giants. Retire the Cardinals. And that's the ball game, folks. So Causey holds on to the bitter end. Pitches the complete game. And the Giants win at home against the Cardinals. The Cardinals had 1 run on 7 hits, and they made 2 errors. The Giants had 8 runs on 13 hits, and they made no errors. The winning pitcher is Red Causey. He goes to 3-0 on the season. Pitched a complete game 7-hitter. The loser's Marv Goodwin. He goes to 2-2 on the year. He gave up 6 earned runs in 6 1/3 innings. Was hit around pretty hard. The batting star of the game for the Giants, Heine Zimmerman, was 3 for 4 and knocked in 3 runs. And Benny Kauf was 3 for 5 and scored 3 runs. So the final score here from Bresch Stadium is Giants 8, Cardinals 1. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we will see you later.